What made you quit gaming forever? When I was 19, I thought I had everything figured out. Parents were divorced, so it was just me and my little brother Dylan in this cramped apartment downtown. Dylan was 8 and basically my responsibility while mom worked double shifts at the hospital. I was juggling college classes and this dead-end job at Tony's Diner, but gaming was my escape. Every night after washing grease off my hands, I'd fire up my PC and disappear into whatever battle royale was trending. Dylan never complained about me gaming. He'd just curl up on our beat-up couch with his Spider-Man blanket, watching cartoons or doing homework. Sometimes he'd ask if I wanted to watch something with him, but I'd always say, maybe later, without even looking away from my screen. He was such a good kid about it, never threw tantrums or anything. Just accepted that Big Brother needed his computer time. That Friday night in November changed everything. New season had just dropped for this game I was obsessed with, and my buddies Jake and Trevor were already online when I got home from my shift. Dylan was being his usual quiet self, already in his pajamas, watching some cartoon about talking dogs. I told him I'd just play for a couple hours while he finished his show. 2 hours turned into 4. 4 turned into 6. My teammates kept saying one more game, and I kept agreeing. We were on this insane winning streak, and I was getting kills left and right. The adrenaline was pumping, and honestly, I felt more alive in that virtual world than I did serving coffee to angry customers all day. Every time I thought about logging off, someone would say, "Dude, we're so close to ranking up," and I'd get sucked back in. Around midnight, I finally pulled my headset off to grab some water. The apartment was dead silent. No cartoon sounds, no Dylan giggling at the TV. I walked to the living room and his blanket was just lying on the floor in front of the empty couch. My heart stopped. I called his name, checked his bedroom, the bathroom, everywhere. That's when I noticed the front door wasn't locked. I ran outside in my socks, screaming his name down the empty street. Called 911 with shaking hands, barely able to get the words out. The operator kept asking me when I last saw him, and I had to admit it was 6 hours ago. 6 hours. The guilt hit me like a truck. While I was yelling at my screen about respawn times, my 8-year-old brother had been trying to get my attention, and I completely ignored him. The cops found him about an hour later, sitting alone on the swings at Lincoln Elementary, 3 blocks away. When they brought him back, he wasn't crying or scared, just looked tired and disappointed. The officer asked him why he left, and Dylan said he'd knocked on my door a bunch of times because he had a nightmare, but I was too busy yelling at the computer people to notice. He said he got lonely and decided to walk to Dad's old house because he missed him. Problem was, Dad had moved to Arizona 6 months ago after the divorce. Dylan didn't know that. He just remembered the address and started walking, hoping Dad would be there to watch cartoons with him like old times. After the cops left, I sat on his bed while he got under the covers. He looked so small in that big bed, and I realized this was probably the first time in months I'd actually sat down and really looked at him, really saw him. I asked if he was mad at me, and he just shrugged and said, "You always pick the game over me anyway." That hit harder than any punch ever could. This kid had been basically raising himself while I escaped into fantasy worlds, and he never once complained. He just accepted that his big brother cared more about digital achievements than real life. I wanted to explain that gaming helped me deal with stress, that it wasn't personal. But how do you tell an 8-year-old that pixels matter more than their nightmares? The next morning, I listed my gaming PC on Facebook Marketplace. Jake called asking why I wasn't online, and I told him I was done. He laughed, said I'd be back by next weekend. Everyone always comes back, but I wasn't everyone. I was a big brother who almost lost the most important person in his world because I cared more about ranking up than showing up. Used the money from selling my setup to take Dylan to Six Flags that weekend. Watched him smile for the first time in months as we rode roller coasters and ate way too much cotton candy.